Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real life situations in Ukraine, and of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, our culture, or whatever interests you. And today, one of the traditions that we keep, we celebrate International Father's Day and also the Day of the Medical Worker in Ukraine. And I thought I will tell you a little bit more about Ukrainian fathers and my father, because he was also a doctor, and I thought like it's time to speak a little bit about him. I do know that some of you like these topics of private life, others don't, and follow my vlog for important military updates, the Ukrainian culture updates. So I will try to incorporate, and by speaking about my father, also to explain you a little bit about fathers in Ukraine. And I do believe that fatherhood in general goes through a very difficult term here in Ukraine, because many fathers who are not professional soldiers, who were not used to military service, and their families, these fathers are mobilized and now do not spend time with their children and their families, and it's pretty tough. And but they protect the future of their children, so it is also heroic. And also many families are separated because the majority of refugees in Ukrainian refugees in the world are women and children. And there are lots of heartbreaking photos that you can see at the beginning of this war, when fathers separated with their families and no one knew will they ever meet. This kind of situation happens daily in Ukraine. So when you have doubts whether Ukraine still needs support, understanding, weapons, imagine all of these fathers, all of these families being separated. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of such families now in Ukraine. So my father was the best father in the world, and I miss him a lot because he passed away in 2017. And it's difficult for me to talk about that because I was not ready for that, and I do believe I'm still in the age I can have my father. Perhaps you are never old enough to lose your parents, but I do miss him a lot. And very often when something important happens in my life, either private or in the country, like the war, like President Zelensky elected, or COVID pandemics, I feel really sorry that he doesn't know about that. Well, maybe he sees that from heaven, but this is a little bit different perspective, and sometimes you want to have him close to you. And just like we were really close, I was never my father's princess. I was more of his, I don't know, soldier or something. And he was trying to bring me up like a boy, because I guess he wanted a boy, a son, but I'm the only child. And he got the girl, and then he started loving me more than any boy on the world. So perhaps if you think about these stereotypes, somewhere at the period of my age, they still existed, and many fathers wanted sons more than daughters. But I do hope it changed, but definitely it changed for my father. He had even a joke about that, like a girl like you is even better because you can do everything like a boy and still spoil boys' lives. So my father was born in Buenos Aires in Argentina. He is Ukrainian, but he belonged to the family of immigrants who moved from Ukraine in 1930s and then decided to return back to the USSR, to Ukraine in 1955. So my father left Argentina when he was 5. He traveled 3 months on a ship, and he had lots of stories because he managed to remember some things about that. And it was really tough period to come back to Ukraine, and it is a separate story. I do like this Argentinian trace in my personal culture, and I have relatives there. We still keep in touch. My grandma's family did not return. They still live in Buenos Aires, and I think we are close enough. So my father had an unusual name for Ukraine. That was Leonardo perhaps. And in Ukraine we have a habit that you use patronymic, something that is a Slavic tradition, and to tell you the truth, from year to year we practice it less and less, and I'm not a great supporter. It sounds very Russian for me, but typically we use in official communication, for example, me being a teacher, I will never be addressed in Ukrainian as Dr. Anna, for example, or Anna. I will always be addressed as Anna Leonardovna. Anna Leonardovna. Because this is a typical thing, and you can read about that in many Slavic and of course in Russian books, but it is more and more common to use pani address, which is something similar to miss, and it is also present in Poland in their language. So my father and there are lots of Ukrainians who came back from Argentina, from Brazil, lots of Ukrainians who still live in Canada, United States, Argentina, Brazil. There are huge diasporas in Australia, and they support us now and they keep the tradition, so it's all very important. But there is such a history of Ukrainians who went across the ocean and then decided to come back. That is this history of my family. And later my father always dreamed to be a doctor, and he became a doctor, but he was a dentist, but the surgeon dentist, like the one that operates on your jaw. And he loved his job a lot. And then my mom is also a dentist, and they worked together in Africa 2 years. It was in Soviet times, and then lots of Soviet doctors went on missions to Africa, and they worked in country Mali, and I was not born there then yet, but I feel really sorry because when I was at school I loved it so much. We had so many postcards and photos from African continent, and when many children wanted to be like teachers or cosmonauts, I wanted to be an African girl because they are also cute. And also we had lots of African souvenirs, and I loved that a lot. Later father wanted to return back after some period and to continue his work in Africa, but the Soviet Union collapsed, and also AIDS, the epidemic of AIDS was really hard at the end of 80s, at the beginning of 90s. And like my father was always strict with me, and I inherited his sense of humor, and sometimes I keep myself from saying jokes because it will prevent me having new friends or keeping my old friends. He was pretty sarcastic, and I can be like that. And I do think that a girl with a sense of humor is kind of good, but a girl with a super developed sense of humor can be bad. So I have managed to keep myself in the frames, or we call it like that, in the frames. My dad always wanted me to be something big, and he was never kind with me, like I mean in this positive thing. For example, when I was doing my homework and he was watching TV, and I would tell him, come on, it's difficult for me to do my homework, TV sound irritates me, he will come closer, turn on the radio, plus radio, and tell me like, no one will create you perfect conditions in your life, so get used to that. And he loved this kind of training, but also he loved playing with me. We had so many intellectual talks, and I'm very grateful for the fact that he took me seriously right from the beginning of my life and up to the last days of his life. He was always serious about me. I do know that he loved me a lot, and perhaps I was the most important person. And also he's a very good doctor, and he had this rules, doctor's rules, like you have to cure a person, not a disease. And he had lots of patients that loved him, and he loved his job a lot. And I'm not that, how do you say, good. I try to find jobs that suit me best, that give me more money, that give me more creativity. And he was very noble in what he did. Like in nowadays, a dentist always a synonym to someone super rich. it was not so about my dad, about our family. And back in the 90s, it was really difficult. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukraine became independent. People did not earn much. People could live like half a year without salaries, and they would get their salaries in sugar or sweets, which is good, or something like that. So it was pretty tough, and they always continued working and always tried to help people. And he loved difficult cases. Like many people would pass them and say, oh, it's too difficult, you should go to a different hospital, you should travel to a different city. And my dad always loved difficult tasks, and he wanted me to become a doctor once, but I was very much against that. And I do believe that to be a doctor, you have to want to be only a doctor. And it was never like that with me. Maybe a psychiatrist, but not a doctor that comes close in contact with patients. But now I respect doctors very much, and I think they deserve a separate video in my vlog, because they do a lot. Just like after COVID pandemics, they have a war in Ukraine, and even in my city they do a lot of things, heroic things. And perhaps for me, doctor is the most heroic profession in the world, even when I take into account military men, because I still believe that wars are temporary, and this war with your diseases, with your health, they happen all the time. And good doctors, they always pass it through them. So I do, if there are some fathers and doctors among my subscribers, I congratulate you with this day. And as the daughter of the father and of the doctor, I have to ask you, please take care of yourself, take care of your health. Don't let your job take over you, your nervous system, because your daughters, your sons, they need you a lot every day, at least a message from you. And in Ukraine, fathers are active in bringing up children. Every year we have more and more fathers who have pregnancy leaves and who stay with children, and it's totally okay. And I think it is totally okay, because a child is always a mutual process. And my father was always with me, and I have lots of sweet memories about him doing something. By the way, I have lots of scars, not many scars, but all of the scars that I have are because my father told me, don't be afraid, do it. And I was not afraid. I trusted him. And I think it's important to have so many memories and to make so many memories, but it is always good to live long. So thank you very much for watching. Please forgive maybe a little bit too personal video, but I felt like I want to talk about my dad, and to let you know that dads are important. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for buying me coffees. Thank you for being with Ukrainians, as we need this support of the world. And Slava Ukraini!